Hi guys, thank you very much for joining me. Polina here, coming to you from New York City. It is beautifully cold. It is an interesting experience. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope that you are feeling well. It feels to me that many people are still trying to get things together. It feels to me that we're still trying to scramble for something or somebody. It feels to me that we're still trying to redefine our dreams. And I also feel that a lot of people are still redefining their context in society and what they've done during their lifetime. So, however old you are, wherever you stand, please make sure that you don't push yourself around. Please make sure that you are not making yourself anyone else. Please make sure that you just live this experience with grace, whatever it is. And yes, I know that for a lot of us, perhaps the context of ourselves is peculiar at the end of the day. Perhaps the 7 year period has ended on a very different or very strange note, or even what seems to us a question mark, but there should not be any question marks. The point is to remain whole. I repeat, the point is to remain whole and to feel unpeculiar to yourself and other people. So we're in Pisces now. I'm actually recording this on the 24th of February, so we aren't really here capable of healing each other, helping each other, or nurturing or nourishing each other if each other doesn't know who they are or what it all means. It can be very, very superficial, very peculiar to actually meet people these days at this point in time that don't really understand where they are, how, why. So if you are somebody perhaps a little like me, not quite sure about your context or how things have turned around, please try to see the everyday as a holy, sacred message to your heart. Every day you look at your things, every day you walk down the street, everything, especially people and animals and those experiences that are fleeting, just make sure you soak it all up and you don't try to push anybody else around. It is so easy here to energetically possess another person. It is very, very easy during this time to become a new frontier or an extra sort of like sensory experience for somebody else. We're all in dream time during Pisces. It's a galactic, global 12th house. We should really know who we are. That's the point, is to mind our own business and to know who we are, and also understand that each place we go, each thing we do, everything we eat, everything that we create, everything that we tempt ourselves with is in part a footprint for our society. We're not just ourselves, we're a global face. Everybody during this particular period, as we are in this interesting beginning of the pig year, after dog year, we're a certain type of social transition, and we're not just ourselves. I believe and trust that we're all more than that, and we hold a piece of today's society, of today's tendencies, of today's radicalism, or just today's world within ourselves and within our souls. And we're not just speaking out from our own mouths. It feels to me that we are speakers for the world, and where you are leading yourself, where you're guiding yourself, has to be in a sense responsible, because I believe that with this incredible Capricorn stellium here that we are starting on with March 1st, this is an incredible time to no longer try and debilitate our responses, to now start recognizing our responsiveness to the world, to see and understand the sensitivity and the touch of nature that we have about it all. Nature, Capricorn, is a very, very good time to actually start deliberately picture ourselves within this new climate or this new scheme, or this old scheme, however you're living, in the most organic and loving way possible. It is good to assimilate. It is good to put your bags down, to stay together, stay put, be no longer pushing yourself or other people around for things that they have or haven't done. It is not a time to be a perfectionist. It's actually a time for home. I believe that this particular month of March is an interesting transition from one year to the next, as I do believe that we start the year on Aries. There's going to be, I feel, one of those wonder months, if we're able to just release and just to be good people, that don't have to fear each other. We don't have to fear God. Like, we don't have to fear our earth. We shouldn't have to fear ourselves and what we've done, what we made here. It's important here to start recognizing ourselves and our passage through time, not as individuals or a head above or below the rest. It's actually really nice to see the overall truth of this reality reflected through you. So we are all doing this. We've all done it. So in a sense, we've all created the metropolis, and we've all been part of the global community that perhaps has somehow, on some level, called the shots and made things happen here. So it's about taking responsibility and starting to no longer feel like a fleeting remark of some sort in life, no longer trying to be the one behind the scenes or the one that is not trying to be seen. I feel that many of us are feeling less and less endowed with strength and agility and perhaps courage or talents. I feel that we are starting to dilute. Pig year is going to create a very beautiful cloth out of everybody. I feel that it is a very molding and very kind of like a squeamish time for most individualists. But here you are, and here I am. So it's just about taking time and footsteps that are careful and loving and kind, and taking a big bow, perhaps, if we are about to leave, or to start to see the future with glee. And as we hit the 21st of March, I feel that the past, or the burdens of the previous dimensions, within the previous generations, are going to be over. So we can actually just heal so much more during this month than before, if we just take responsibility and make kindness our first response. I actually feel that we can heal the laws of today's society. I feel we can believe in ourselves more. I feel that we can direct the current of karma, or the current of do, say, and create in our families. You know, the dharma and karma, the dharma karma responsibility scales in a very different way during this month. If we just say, yes, I take responsibility, yes, I am kind, I understand that I am all of it, I am everything, I am also the person that, for example, kills cattle, I'm also the person that calls the shots in the government, I'm also the person that doesn't have anything to do, I'm also the person that lives in the street. We're all just this whole person during this time. And what I mean is not just you, because identity doesn't exist in Pisces actually until we swing into Aries. It's actually the world reflecting through your eyes, the world reflecting through your actions, and the world reflecting through your mind. So please be kind. The basic blueprint that I'm seeing here is that we can transcend and ascend way past our ancestors if we just take responsibility for what they've done. And what I mean is just be kind about it all. Be okay about how things are. It's not separatist month, although I feel that people are still under that spell. We can't do it kicking and screaming. I don't believe that we can really become who we ought to be if we shove ourselves on the front or on the side or in the back of something. I feel that even non-individualism, you know, when we go out of our way to be nothing, is also part of ego. I feel that being at the front and trying to scream out something different is not going to help. Activism, surprise starts and surprise stops before we swing into Aries are very dark. Making a change, making somebody look at you, making somebody recognize something that you have that is unlike anything else in the world, or pretends it is unlike anything else in the world, is very obvious. So the feeling here is that we're all sort of waking out of this individualist dream that we've built for ourselves in the last 7 to 8 years. We're actually starting to perhaps crumble and fall apart. And if you are actually crumbling and falling apart, that's fine. But if you're actually ready to embrace the air and vibration in Pisces, you've done very well. So taking everything with a pinch of salt, being humorous about it all, not crying too much, not enabling other people also to be in any extreme. Making extreme a thing of the past, giving someone a hug, giving somebody a touch on the shoulder and saying, don't worry about it, you know, we're all one here, you know, it all exists for its own sake, and it's all reasonable. Everything has its own ins and outs. Everything had its own birth, and everything will have its own crumbling, its own end. And being kind of like this mate, or even maybe surrogate for somebody during this time, without putting any ego into it, is actually a really great idea. So, like being that person who pat somebody else on the shoulder, being that person who perhaps enables somebody else to cry, and maybe creates a paternal bond or maternal bond for somebody else, is actually a very good idea. So compromise as well. We might need to compromise. People might need to start to realize who they are and what they need to be. It feels to me that it is no longer about where else you can go and who else you could have been. And a lot of people I'm seeing are still asking that, like I could have been, it's not about that right now. So basically, we've all been assigned certain territories and unconscious placings in society and within the astral field. And then by about the 23rd of March, actually, no, I'm sorry, 23rd of Feb, you might already kind of see how wise it has been that people are being placed where they're being placed. And we all have to sort of like now start to see the greater picture of how it's going to become. So, anxiety, worry about your home, worry about your partnerships, or worrying about your career doesn't really make anything unless you can see perhaps the underlying crux of it, which might be a very, very intricate system of psychological and perhaps also ethnic and global truths that are powering your reality. So, where you are potentially could be home, or maybe is a mirror of your true feeling of home, or your true feeling in your heart. There are so many reasons as to why we are where we are. There's so many global truths as to why Pisces is lived out in this particular territory, or with this particular person, or in this particular job. There are lots and lots and lots of different ways in which we aren't able to change things very fast during a time like this. Also, we're not really asked to create change. We're basically just asked to own up. And to me, this particular month of March feels like a very, very strong need to just pat each other on the back. Say, what a good person you are. Like how well you've done. Like, good job. You know. If you have a person that's a polarity to you, it's just say, wow, thank you for doing that, which I would not do. Like, thank you for being the one doing, you know. We're all surprisingly balanced. I'm surprised. It's all in a surprising, beautiful harmony, even though we might not quite trust it. And we're all kind of waking into a new truth on the 21st of March. Now, the equinox to me is a surprising turn of events. I mean, we have Chiron in Aries. I will do a video on Chiron as well, if you like. We have Chiron and Sun crossing over this global ascendant. Also, Mercury crossing or touching it too. I feel that the point is that we aren't really truly made to be, how can I say, remarkable perhaps in the way that we've been envisioning ourselves. We're not really, I feel, open for remark on ourselves. I feel that the best is the crux of the global collective humanness that we can probably only achieve sometimes through a hug, or through that shared cup of tea, or through that tear. The positive thing here that I feel that's the most astounding during this month is forgiveness and karma just simply flaking off, and new environments or old will not perhaps bring any choices, but what you might see brought to you is that which has been owed from a long time ago, or that which has been on the back burner for many years. Perhaps you might find a true sort of a twin connection with another person. Maybe perhaps you might very easily here find a like a gospel situation for you. During a month like this, the more you forgive and the more you let go and surrender to this kind of like interesting global ancestral timeless flow of life, which does not really ask for much. It's not about expectation, it's not about the modern world, though of course on some wavelength it is. This is more like about having debts paid off to you that perhaps have been sitting there for a long time. Banks, like maybe you have more money in the bank during this time. If you have been owed from something or somebody, maybe somebody accidentally or not accidentally actually, like willingly pays you a lot more for your service. It's a good idea to keep in touch and to recognize metaphor. You know, for some people during Pisces, perhaps somebody owes you money that they're actually capable of paying you back. Maybe there's a different debt. Maybe somebody hasn't said I'm sorry yet. Maybe somebody hasn't said I love you yet. Maybe something is about to be replenished, or for some people taken away. And the reason is because this is huge karma. This is not just you. This is not just your mom or dad. This is like, for me, it feels an ancestral, global, perhaps even ethnic, uh, sort of beyond space and time, like past, present, and future being huge chunks type of karmic payout. And it feels to me that by the 21st you will know. So I feel that this is very quantum, and I'm not meant to talk about this too much, but I feel that what belongs to you, or where you might have to be, or what you might need to leave, or where you might need to wake up or even surprise yourself, or where you might want to dig up that paintbrush and paint again, or where you might want to pick up that Polaroid camera and take some photos again. That will not be sometimes ours to decide. It'll just kind of start to find us again. So it feels to me that the karmic scales, or this karmic slate that we're in during Pisces, is going to really turn things around for us in a big way. But please don't be worried if perhaps you're ushered in towards a situation or a person or a representation or a job that is perhaps to you something that you could have done maybe 12 years ago or 10 years ago. Maybe you've forgotten your skills. Maybe suddenly, you know, you feel like you're going backwards. Maybe you were a teacher, you became a visionary, and now you're going back to school to teach, or even back to school to study. The point is that sometimes we'll be placed or given things during this time that we've been maybe owed for a long time, or certain certainties, you know, suddenly that have not been certain for ages. For example, like say someone has been painting for a long time, they put away their supplies many years ago, and suddenly somebody asks them to do a painting for them. That's very possible, very likely. Or maybe a twin energy, or somebody from your past suddenly surfaces, or something is suddenly just looking you in the face. If you have been owed something, or if something or somebody was right for you all this time, or things have been waiting for you to own up and to relax and just be yourself, perhaps they will be given. So by the equinox, by the 21st, I'm going to do another video about this time, perhaps, you will claim back either extra hardship, you know, if you really don't want to own up and be a caring and kind person, or you might just claim extra things that perhaps you forgot about. I'm seeing huge blasts from the past. And also, if you are not real for yourself, you're not quite sure how to create or deliberately use your time, it might be very nice to just tell somebody about your experience, what happened last week, or what happened 7 years ago, or 12 years ago. It's a very, very fruity time, fruitful time for past coincidences now normalized. What has happened before, what happened in your family, what happened in your youth, recognized. You know, what's happening in your country, what's happening around the world, understood and assimilated into your mind. So, the worst I feel that could happen is just people fighting still and saying, no, I didn't do it, nothing to do with me. If you can, even if you are in a weird place, even if you are not sure where you really fit in, please recognize the blessing of being here. Try to no longer fight your ancestors or your sons or daughters. You know, it's so good now to just say, I own it, I'm owning all of this. You know, I don't have to pretend this has nothing to do with me. I don't have to blackmail other people or myself for these choices. I shouldn't have to radicalize who I've been or what I could have done to see my future. I can kind of understand why I'm here. And perhaps not on every level, but on some level, I'm very well aware of what's next for me based on how kind, generous, loving, caring, and peaceful I can be right now. So Pisces, yeah. By the end of this month, I feel that things are going to take a long time to fix for people that don't want to change. Or it could be a very, very quick phenomenon. So some of us will be waking out of our dreams. I feel some of us will be relocating very fast or finding very fast financial or spiritual outcomes. It feels to me that there is, of course, always going to be a faster route in Aries and Pisces. And though many of us perhaps don't believe this, but I trust that this is going to be the beginning of a new era or a new time, and perhaps this will be a start of many years to come of just freedom, connection to spirit, and work, natural work, a natural equilibrium with the world, perhaps a nurturing role for those who are ready to do that, perhaps a superficial role for those who are not ready. So as you start to see who you are, as the eye, wakes up in Aries, perhaps consider, where are you in the world? Where is the most appropriate place to be? Many of us are actually ready to be pillars now, even in younger years. Especially those in their 50s now perhaps should consider how they can be teachers or visionaries or just pillars to shed light or to offer support to others. We're in the pig year. Those people that are ready by now to be a pillar, or that can already see how else they can help another first, or like what else they can offer, what else they can do, really truly would be maybe grateful for that inclination, which usually we are not really, how can I say, reimbursed for. So altruism during this time is a huge showing, or it's a huge energy of connectivity. And for us who cannot yet show care or respect for another person, Aries is going to still be a good month. And yeah, many are seduced by this Jupiterian acceleration and also the stellium and Capricorn that we're starting on, and this kind of crossing over, sorry, of all these planets into, sorry, a new dimension in Aries. We kind of perhaps seduced, some of us, as to what we can achieve, what we can have, who we can pull, or what we can now make. But I trust that unless it is within your family karma or your story, perhaps you don't need to make anything at all. It's not good to try to be somebody that you have no need to be. It's not good here to pick up a storm, pick up a pen, pick up that paintbrush if you've never done it, unless it is naturally conclusive for you and your bloodline, family line. So because yeah, pig year, bloodlines, sort of karmic relationships with people in your life, and also the talents that have passed themselves on through DNA and the memories as well here are really, really obvious, and perhaps very, very oblivious to a lot of people. So maybe time to recognize. I'm not someone who pushes this point across all the time, but yes, please realize that you're a continuation of your line. You're not just a once-off, surprising, exciting individual that nobody's ever seen before. You're actually kind of like a product of cause and effect throughout your timeline, throughout your family line. You're a mirror to others, and you're many. Like you are representation of many things. You are, how can I say, entirely yours, only in your mind. It is all a fractal of a fractal of a fractal, and we have to take responsibility for everything in some sense to contain our own immortality. Yeah, so immortality, and the use or the place that we hold in the world is like an interesting kind of, it's not polarity, it's an interesting base during this time. So please try to conquer not yourself or your fears or anything, just that part of you that thinks you are somehow either really deprived or very special or something, because we do need to fit in, and we are looking at a global picture of life. So sorry, thank you very much for being here. If you are in New York, you can come see me for a reading if you like. If you'd like to know more information about me, or if you'd like to book something, please have a look in the links below. Also, Patreon is available to all people. I've been posting a lot on it. I will post something extra for this month obviously on Patreon. So if you'd like, join me there. And now I'll have a look at all the signs. So if you'd like to check out your sign for this month, I'm not going to be posting them on YouTube. I will be posting them on Patreon. So if you'd like to have a look, please take a look. So in the future, I will just be doing the global prognose for each month, and all the individual signs will be on Patreon. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.